My name is Walker. I'm a husband, a father, and an engineer who loves building things with my hands. I enjoy turning ideas into something real, something I can see and touch with pride. But for 6 long months, I had no work and nowhere to go each morning. I sent my name and papers to many companies, maybe 100 or even more. Every day I checked my phone, waiting for a call that never came. The silence grew heavier, like a stone pressing down on my heart. My wife, Elise, worked long hours at the hospital, helping others while we barely survived. Our savings were gone, and our little daughter, Hazel, needed new shoes for school. I tried to smile for them, but inside, I felt weak, ashamed, and deeply afraid. I told myself to stay strong, but every night I felt like a failure. I am a black man, and sometimes that makes life harder than it should be. People don't always see me. They only see my skin, my color, my difference. They judge before I speak, before they know my story, before they see my heart. It's a heavy thing to carry, especially when all you want is a fair chance. Then one morning, the phone finally rang, and my heart jumped before I even answered. A big company, one of the best in the city, wanted to meet me. They said, "We've seen your work, Mr. Cole. We'd like to talk about the position." For the first time in months, I felt light, alive, and full of hope. I danced in our small kitchen, laughing like a child who had found his dream again. Elise clapped her hands, smiling wide, her eyes shining with joy and relief. We both knew this could change everything. A real job, a new beginning, a better life. That Tuesday morning, I woke before the sun, when the city was still half asleep. I put on my best dark blue suit and ironed my white shirt carefully. I tied my favorite tie, the one Elise bought me when I first got promoted. Hazel hugged my leg and whispered, "Daddy, you look like a superhero today." Elise kissed my cheek softly and said, "Good luck, Walker. Show them who you are." Her words filled me with pride. I felt tall, strong, and ready to prove myself. The company's building stood high, all glass and steel, shining under the morning light. I took a deep breath and walked in, feeling small but full of quiet excitement. Inside, everything was bright, white, and perfect, the kind of place I had dreamed about. At the front desk, a woman typed quickly on her computer, barely looking up. I smiled politely and said, "Good morning. I'm Walker Cole. I have a meeting at 10. She finally looked at me, her face still serious, her eyes cold and unreadable. Her gaze moved slowly from my shoes to my face, and I felt her judgment. "The meeting is canceled," she said flatly, not even pretending to be sorry. My heart froze. The word canceled echoed in my head like an empty room. "Canceled?" I asked quietly. "I didn't get a message. Maybe there's been a mistake." I tried to stay calm. "I can wait if needed." I came early to be sure she shook her head and looked back at her screen. "Mr. Cooper is very busy." "We'll call you," she said, her tone sharp and final like a door closing. Those words, "we'll call you," I had heard them so many times before. They don't mean later. They mean never. I stood there, frozen, feeling all my hopes slip away like sand in water. My best suit suddenly felt cheap, and my polished shoes heavy like stones. I whispered, "Thank you," though my voice trembled with quiet pain. Then I turned slowly and walked toward the big glass door, feeling smaller with every step. Just as I reached it, another man entered, white, young, wearing a crooked tie. He looked nervous, adjusting his collar the way I had done minutes ago. The woman at the desk looked up again, and her face changed completely. Her eyes brightened, her lips lifted into a sweet, welcoming smile. "Hello? You must be Mr. Smith," she said warmly. "Mr. Cooper is waiting for you." She pointed toward a big wooden door down the hall, her voice full of kindness. The man smiled back and said, "Thank you," before walking right in. The door closed softly behind him, but to me it sounded like thunder. I stood still, my hands cold, my heart heavier than ever before. He came after me, but he went in. I came first, but my meeting was canceled. They didn't want me. Not my mind, not my work, not my effort. They only saw my skin. It wasn't the first time, and I knew it wouldn't be the last. People often see the color before they see the man behind it. They don't see Walker, the engineer, the dreamer, the father who never gives up. They just see a black man. I took a deep breath, pushed open the glass door, and stepped outside. The air was cool, and the city kept moving like nothing had happened. But something had happened, not to the world, but inside me. I had walked in with hope and walked out with truth. And even though it hurt, I promised myself, this won't be the end of my story. The city and the silence. The city around me was loud, cars, horns, and voices blending into one restless noise. But inside me, everything was quiet, still, and painfully heavy. I walked slowly toward my old car, parked beneath the gray morning sky. The air smelled like rain, cold and sharp against my skin. I opened the door, sat behind the wheel, and stared straight ahead without moving. I felt sick, the kind of sickness that doesn't come from the body but from the heart. I looked at that tall glass building shining behind me, proud and perfect, as if it hid no wrong. Anger burned deep inside me, hot and wild, like a storm I could not calm. I wanted to shout until my voice broke. I wanted to cry until the pain was gone. I wanted to hit the steering wheel until the sound drowned out my thoughts. But instead I just sat there, breathing slowly, afraid my anger would turn into despair. I thought about Elise, her smile this morning, her faith in me, her quiet strength. What would I tell her now? That they lied? That my color was the reason I wasn't good enough? That my skin had become my crime, even when my hands built dreams from nothing? That thought has followed me all my life, silent, patient, like a shadow that never leaves. I was tired of it. Tired of fighting for a place I had already earned. Tired of being unseen, unheard, and quietly pushed aside. My work didn't matter. My time didn't matter. Only my skin did. That was the terrible truth, one I wished I could unsee. I looked down at my hands gripping the steering wheel. Elise always said my hands were strong, hands that built, fixed, and never gave up. My professors once told me my mind was sharp, that my designs would last for years. I remembered those words and whispered to myself, I am an engineer. I build things. I don't break. I don't disappear. I will not be a ghost. I will not stay silent anymore. With that thought, I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. My fingers shook, not with fear now, but with anger mixed with pride. I opened my email and saw the company's message still sitting there, cold and empty. I clicked reply, and my breath slowed as I began to type. My words were simple. My tone was calm, but my heart was strong. I wrote, Dear Mr. Cooper, I was here for my meeting today at 10 o'clock. The secretary told me it was canceled. I did not get a call or an email. I understand people can be busy. But I saw another man arrive after me. He was welcomed and sent in for his meeting. I only ask for fairness and respect. I worked hard for my skills. I believe I deserve the same chance to show them. Sincerely, Walker Cole. I read my words twice before pressing send. My hands were still shaking, but now it wasn't just anger. It was power. I had spoken the truth, and the truth finally belonged to me. I set the phone down and looked out at the city again. Cars moved. People crossed streets. The world went on like nothing had happened. But something had happened. Not out there, but inside me. I had stopped hiding. I had chosen to speak. For the first time that day, I took a deep breath and filled my lungs with air. I wasn't invisible anymore, not to myself. Maybe they would never reply. Maybe the job was lost forever. But I still had my voice, and I had used it. That was something no one could take away. When I reached home, Elise opened the door before I could even knock. She looked at my face and knew everything without a single word. She took my hand gently, her eyes full of love, not questions. Hazel ran into my arms, her laughter warm and pure. "Daddy," she said, "did they give you the job?" I looked at her small face, her eyes bright with hope, and I smiled, a real smile, tired but true. "Not today," I said softly, "but one day they will." Elise squeezed my hand and whispered, "Yes, one day they will." That night, when the house was quiet and the lights were low, I opened my notebook. On the first blank page, I wrote a single word, hope. Not the kind that waits for someone's call or someone's approval. The kind that lives inside you, steady and strong, even when no one sees it. The kind that builds itself again every time it's broken. The kind that never dies. Thank you for listening to this story. If it moved you, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Until next time, keep believing, keep growing, and keep hope alive in your heart.